Abigail. So this is the newest movie from Radio Silence, directors of Ready or Not, obviously the newest Scream movies. I thought this was an absolute blast. Hilarious from start to finish, had some like genuinely frightening moments. I think it's one of the most well cast movies I've seen in a very long time.
I went into this very positive because I thought the trailer was really, really strong. I had high expectations, and normally when that happens I come in a bit disappointed. I absolutely friggin' loved this movie from start to finish. I thought it was a masterpiece. Just the right level of gore and horror, but mixed in with some great action pieces, some brilliant comedy. It was just overall fun.
It's not really a horror comedy, but it's just very wishy and sharp and funny. I think that does come from the performances. Like, there's some amazing cast in this. Dan Stevens, obviously we talked about him when we did Godzilla x Kong. Very disappointing. Not necessarily in him, but his characterization in that. Whereas here, I love the slimeball former detective who's kind of taken the reins of this kind of operation. I thought he was absolutely great. The way he like turned into the villain at the end of the movie was awesome, and I love that.
That was a good twist, mind. I don't think I was expecting that. I certainly wasn't expecting Giancarlo Esposito to come back.
Fucking nailed it, man. Giancarlo Esposito.
Him to come back. I thought it was tremendous when he kind of reappeared as a vampire. I thought that was amazing. But yeah, the team up element at the end was really, really good. I'm saying it's a masterpiece. It absolutely is. But I do have a couple of very, very minor gripes with it, I have to say. But overall, it's fun from pretty much start to finish.
Just to rapid fire through some of the actors I think were great. Melissa Barrera, I always like her and everything she's in. I think not necessarily a massively different character than in Scream, I think, but like she's, you know, I enjoyed her in this. She kind of grounds the film. Ashley Weir, who's the little Irish actress, plays Abigail in the movie. You might have seen her in Matilda the musical as well. She stars in that. Phenomenal in this. The sinister glee that she has throughout the movie, like the moment where they come in and she's like there doing the ballet with the headless body, just the way she's like loving what she's doing was so good.
This is what annoys me slightly, because I think she was groundbreaking in this movie, but we know for a fact that this movie will not be touched by anything like the Oscars. But she absolutely deserves our roses because she was amazing. She's got a hell of a career ahead of her. I think she's amazing in this.
Catherine Newton I always love, and I liked her as the little hacker rich kid girl. She was great.
I loved her. I thought she was really fun, but she absolutely comes into her own when she gets turned. The dancing scene, and that was just beautiful. I loved everything about that.
Definitely felt like an extension of Abigail, the character, as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, almost flawless. Kevin Durand, the big kind of thug, like muscly idiot. I've always loved him, and he's not in enough stuff. Like, he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I can almost honestly not even really think of anything else he's in, but he was just so funny. Like, the delivery of some of the lines in this film. What do we know about vampires? And he just goes, oh well, they're not real. It's just like so perfectly.
He was quite possibly my favourite part of this movie, if I'm honest. I loved the way the rest of the characters treat him. And again, it's one of those things where he's the muscles, he's basically a big dumb brute. He's the one that was willing at one point to go up and pressure the young kid, you know what I mean? So he's that kind of person that just does what he's told. But I thought there was some real heart-wrenching bits in this, like when the guy gets him by the throat and he says, don't do that again, but in a soft way.
Yeah.
I kind of got the backstory of this guy's been through shit with bullying and he's been beaten and all that kind of stuff. I loved that character. I thought he was great.
Yeah. The dynamic between the characters is just so well done. Like, you could take the supernatural elements out of this movie and still be really entertaining, Like, just the whole, like, Sammy, those are fucking onions. It's just, like, so perfect. I was absolutely in tears. So, like, honestly, one of the best casts I've seen in a film in a very long time.
The only other cast person you've not mentioned is the druggie.
He's clearly, he's the asshole. Like, he's the one who's, like, flirting with the girl and everything. So, like, you're supposed to not like him. But unfortunately, that actor passed away prior to this movie coming out, so there's a memorial. I thought he was good, and I think that's kind of, he's also in Euphoria. Like, I think he was a promising actor, and one of the only people in this I'm not familiar with, so I was interested to see what he would do next. So I think that's unfortunate.
We didn't find out why he was there, did we? Because you find out what everybody else has done to warrant them being in the house.
For some stupid reason, I'm sure he did something stupid. So yeah, the twist of the movie effectively is that they've been brought here. They're supposedly there to kidnap this girl for a ransom, but it turns out that the girl is a vampire and she's organized this because her father is like this super powerful criminal, and they've all kind of wronged the organization in some way. So it's their execution effectively, and they're just letting the little girl have fun with them while doing it. It's just a great twist on it, and I liked it when she's going through all the different reasons, and just the way that Abigail flicks from from like scared little girl to the joy. Oh, it's so good.
I tell you who I haven't got a clue who it is, but I loved, is the guy who plays the dad vampire at the end. His character was phenomenal.
So that's Matthew Good. He's Ozymandias in Watchmen.
Ah, right.
And that's supposed to be Dracula.
Whatever he did to portray the vampire, he's kind of cool, but in terms of menace and kind of creepy and perfect line delivery, he reminded us a little bit, mind, of Nicolas Cage's portrayal of Dracula in some ways.
Throughout the movie, they're teasing like, oh, the dad. And I was like, okay, this is going to come to something. And I was thinking, could this almost be a Splish kind of situation where it's a vampire from a movie, a famous vampire, and like some actor will come in at the end. And then when it was just Matthew Good, I was like, okay, I like Matthew Good, but like this means nothing to me. But yeah, no, it turns out this is a reimagining of Dracula's daughter from Universal, and this Universal makes this. So Universal could have had Nicolas Cage as Dracula at the end of this if they wanted to, and they just didn't. But I don't know, I feel like you could have made, if you made his clothes or had someone refer to him as Dracula, like drop that ball. Literally, it wasn't until after the movie had walked out that I looked it up and oh, that's supposed to be Dracula.
I wouldn't have known that was Dracula unless you told us. I just assumed he was a vampire.
Thinking back now, though, he does have a little bit of that kind of Bela Lugosi cadence to him, I suppose.
Does he need to be Dracula in there?
Need is irrelevant, Peter. He is.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? I mean that means nothing to do with
I suppose maybe they're like, we don't want to definitively say that, but he is supposed to be Dracula.
Yeah.
So I don't dislike. But I think that makes more sense as like, that's the big shock that, oh, it's actually Dracula, you know. Overall, this was one of the most fun movies I've seen in such a long time. Like, it's just got really great kills, really a great story, phenomenal performances, so well written. I think it is a little bit too similar to Ready or Not. Like, even at the ending where Melissa Barrera gets away and she's covered in blood, like people explode in this the same way they do in Ready or Not. And then she gets in the car and eats the lollipop in the exact same way that Samara Weaving like lights the cigarette when she's covered in blood at the end. So I think that was like, oh, they're just doing Ready or Not again. But I think it's still just an absolute blast of a film, and I'm definitely, this will be a regular watch, I think, for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I've said before, I had a couple of niggles, and they're pretty simple niggles really. One is, I wish I'd gone into this not knowing that it was a vampire movie. I wish I'd gone in not knowing that Abigail was a
it's just
vampire.
The sad reality. I think you can't really do a Dusk Till Dawn thing where nobody knows and like it's a surprise in the movie.
I absolutely agree with you, James. They telegraphed it in the trailer, obviously, but I felt, because I knew she was a vampire, I felt like the kidnapping bit, waiting for her to kind of do something, went on for a long time.
It's half the movie. It's literally halfway through the movie that you find out she's a vampire.
Yeah, it was like, well, we know she's a vampire, so the movie played it like we didn't know she was a vampire. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, that's a bit weird. But yeah, I mean, overall, that niggle aside, this for me was a real good, fun movie. I would definitely revisit this. I'll watch it multiple times, I'm sure. In terms of vampire movies, it's top 5 vampire movies that I've seen.
Absolutely stellar.